The Amazing Digital Circus ended recently, and by recently I mean a couple of weeks ago, but that's besides the point. Actually, a couple of months ago if you include the movie, but that's besides the point. And people have been shitting on it a couple bits here and there, and I plan to shit on it too because I had some problems with it and I feel like saying them because why not? Now I want to make it abundantly clear that I don't hate the people who make this show or anything like that. Don't be stupid. I liked it because Kinger was a funny character and it had good humor that I constantly laughed at. It really hit my funny bone, but it mostly falls flat in terms of the story, especially at the end of the story as well. Everything is just so unbelievably rushed. It's very obvious that it was rushed. First things first, the real-life counterparts to the Amazing Digital Circus characters. I'm just gonna go out there and say it. I don't know if this is a popular opinion or not. I didn't want to see these. Not because I had my own version of them or whatever, but because the whole point of the story was, from what Gooseworks said, learning to accept living in a mundane life. The story would hit harder if there was no clarification. Because once you show them that they're still out there, they're still living their lives, and that the real version of themselves are still going on, now you know for an objective fact, the fact that you can never leave. Which makes the answer of, well, we can't leave, so let's learn to live here, abundantly obvious. And to me, that kind of lessens the impact of the lesson of learning to live the mundane life. It'd be much harder if the characters would never truly know if they could ever leave or not, if they really are digital creations or the real versions of themselves. That sort of confusion and uncertainty would make the lesson of learning to live the life you have, regardless of whether or not it's meaningful or not, hit much harder. It would have hit much harder that way. But instead, we get such a definitive conclusion that it's like, okay, well, that's the logical conclusion then. There's no lessons being grasped. There's no learning to live with it. There's no struggle to accept it. There's just, okay, this is the reality, so we must accept it now. My second complaint, and by the way, these are not necessarily original complaints. They're just complaints that I share, and if you happen to share them, well, good on you, is Jax gets too much screen time. If you wanted the finale to focus on Jax and to show off his backstory and everything, that would have been fine if there were more episodes. But the simple fact is that this is the last episode and the last chance that you had to develop any of the characters or any of the plot points or anything. And you instead choose to use that time, the precious time that you have for this finale, to flesh out a character that already has too much screen time. There were characters who got absolutely nothing. Ragatha got almost nothing. Zubul got almost nothing. And we're choosing to spend more time on one character. I guess if the idea was we don't have time to finish any of the characters, so we might as well finish one of them, that is a fine idea. And I understand why they'd go about it that way, but I still do not think it was the right decision. We spend so much time on Jax just to have him die in a couple minutes and him never be brought up again. He didn't even abstract on screen. So my question then is, why does he matter in this situation? Shouldn't we focus on the people who are here, who will be around with us, who can still be saved? Why are we focusing on someone who cannot? Why are we putting all this screen time? Especially when nobody else got screen time. That's the real part of this that really does not hit right. Is that nobody else got the screen time they needed, and we're piling on screen time on someone who already had more than enough. And last but not least is that fucking Cain should be dead. You cannot have your cake and eat it too. I understand that Cain might be a favorite character or anything. What is the impact and point of a death if you're going to undo it? Death is so special because it is the end. It is a definitive end. It is the end that we're all going to face. The reason why life has meaning is because it has death. Because one day we won't be here anymore. So in terms of using it in a story, it's incredibly powerful. When you kill off a character, you can highlight all the ways they've changed the world around them, all the influences they have. And it's only really when someone is gone do you notice that by the vacuum they leave in the world, how much they really put out there, how much they changed us. And that could have been done with Cain, right? Now that the world Circus is falling apart and gloomy, it can really show off the fact that, man, Cain really did a lot for us. You know, he might have not been the perfect person, but he created a circus and adventures and NPCs and all this other stuff. And now that he's gone, we don't have any of those things anymore. So that would have been a cool, distinction. But, they just fucking brought him back and the circus is fine, I guess. And yeah, this episode clearly didn't get enough screen time. I already don't agree with the idea of bringing Cain back because it's just, why kill him off if you're gonna bring him back anyways? It's like counterintuitive to me. But not only that, you bring him back, the circus is just completely fine before he even arrives. Like, there's no lasting consequences because of this shit. Wow, okay, shit really didn't matter. And that was my opinion piece on the Amazing Digital Circus finale, long after it stopped being relevant. Thank you all so much for watching. I love being late to the party. And now, if you don't mind, I'm going to go into this, a VR headset.